Far beyond the light of the familiar stars, in a region of space known only to the ancient ones, there was a forgotten tale that drifted through the ages like a whisper. It was the story of a ship lost to time, called the Voyager. It vanished into the endless blackness of space many centuries ago, leaving no trace behind, not even a memory in the stars themselves. But one day, as the galaxy turned and stars flickered with ancient light, the Voyager was found again. It was drifting, its sleek metal body glimmering under the distant suns, as if frozen in time. What was most strange was that the ship was still fully operational. Its engines hummed quietly, lights flickered on, and the radio system buzzed with static, waiting for contact. The crew, those who had once been lost, still stood on the ship as if no time had passed at all. When they were found by a passing exploration team, they claimed that only days had passed since they had last sailed among the stars. They spoke of strange encounters, of glowing worlds beyond imagination, and of whispers in the cosmic winds. But the passing explorers knew something was wrong. The ship had been lost for centuries. How could this be? There were no answers, only a growing mystery that echoed through the cold void. The crew of the Voyager seemed unchanged, as if they had never aged, as if they were trapped between the folds of time itself. The explorers, now curious and uneasy, dug deeper. The ship's logs were locked, its systems protected by a strange code they could not break. Every attempt to explore further was met with a new, unseen force, an invisible hand that gently pushed them away from the truth. But the explorers knew, something ancient and powerful had touched the Voyager, something that had stolen it from the universe and hidden it away, waiting for the right moment to return. But who, or what, had claimed it, and why? The answers remained as elusive as the stars themselves, fading further into the deep space beyond. And so, the Voyager remained a legend, a story passed down like a secret whispered through the dark, waiting to be uncovered. The explorers, now fully aboard the Voyager, began to hear the strange whispers that the ship's crew had spoken of. It started as a hum, soft and distant, but soon grew into voices that seemed to echo from the very walls of the ship. They weren't the voices of the crew, nor were they human at all. They were ancient, full of wisdom, and filled with sorrow. The explorers had come from many distant worlds, but none had ever experienced anything like this. As they navigated through the ship's massive corridors, they found strange symbols etched into the walls, symbols that seemed to shift and change with every passing moment. No one knew what they meant, but it was clear they weren't of any known language. One night, while deep within the ship's lower decks, a young explorer named Quill stumbled upon a hidden room. Inside, ancient relics lay scattered about, objects that looked like they belonged to a civilization long forgotten. Among them was a shimmering stone, pulsing with a faint light, and a broken tablet covered in the same shifting symbols. As Quill touched the stone, the whispers grew louder, almost frantic, as if the ship itself were alive and speaking to him. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The lights flickered, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to tremble. The crew looked at each other in fear. The ship was reacting, responding to something. And then, from the shadows, they saw them, silent figures, standing still and watching. These beings were not human. Their forms were tall and slender, with eyes that glowed like distant stars. They moved without sound, as if the very air around them bent to their will. They did not speak, but their presence filled the ship with a sense of awe and dread. They were the Watchers, guardians of forgotten knowledge, ancient protectors of the lost civilizations of space. The Watchers had seen the ship return. They had waited for centuries, and now they were ready to reveal the truth. The whispers were not just voices, they were warnings, echoes of a long-lost secret, a key to unlocking the Voyager's dark past. But the truth came at a cost, one that none of them could yet understand. The explorers were faced with a choice, to learn the secrets the ship held, or to leave it to its eternal slumber in the stars. As the Watchers stepped forward, the air grew cold, and the ship seemed to pulse with life, as if it too was waiting for their decision. And so, the mystery of the Voyager deepened, drawing them ever closer to the ancient forces that had once claimed it, forces that were now stirring, reaching out from the forgotten corners of the galaxy. The Watchers stood still, their glowing eyes fixed on the explorers. There was an undeniable presence in the room, a force beyond comprehension. It felt as if the entire ship was holding its breath, as though every inch of the Voyager knew what was at stake. Quill, who had found the shimmering stone, was the first to speak. His voice was steady but filled with awe. "What is it you want from us?" he asked, his gaze shifting between the Watchers and the strange symbols on the walls. The others watched in silence, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. One of the Watchers moved, its long, slender arm stretching toward the broken tablet on the ground. As it touched the fragments, the symbols began to glow with a soft, ethereal light. The ship hummed, and for the first time, the explorers heard a voice, not one of whispers, but a clear, commanding tone, echoing through their minds. "Knowledge has a price," the voice said. "The Voyager carries the truth of the Ancient Ones, truths that can reshape the fate of worlds. But those who seek it must first understand the cost." The explorers looked at each other, their faces filled with fear and curiosity. What could this mean? What was the cost of learning the secrets of a lost civilization? The Voyager was lost because it sought the forbidden. It traveled beyond the stars, to places where even the gods dared not go. There, it found the source, the heart of the universe, where time and space twist and bend. But the source was not meant to be touched. It was never meant to be understood. The voice faded, and the room fell silent again. Quill felt a deep pull toward the stone, as if something within it was calling to him. He reached out, his fingers trembling, and as his hand brushed the surface, a flood of visions overtook him. He saw the Voyager as it had been, an explorer ship, full of hope and ambition. He saw the crew, just as they had been, setting course for a distant star, beyond the edge of known space. They had sought the source, believing it would grant them power, knowledge and immortality. But they had underestimated the forces they were dealing with. The vision shifted, and Quill saw the Voyager floating, lifeless, through the void. The crew's faces were frozen in time, their bodies still intact, but their souls trapped in a never-ending cycle of dreams and nightmares. The ship had become a prison, a tomb for those who had dared to seek what was never meant to be known. Quill staggered back, his heart racing. "It's a curse," he whispered. The Watchers nodded. "Knowledge has a price." The crew of the Voyager made their choice. They reached for the stars and touched the darkness. Now, they cannot escape it. As the explorers processed the truth, a deep sense of understanding washed over them. The Voyager had not merely been lost, it had been abandoned, cursed by the very knowledge it had uncovered. And now, those who sought to uncover that knowledge would face the same fate. The ship began to hum again, and the Watchers slowly stepped back into the shadows, their task complete. The explorers were left with the choice: leave the Voyager to its eternal sleep, or continue their journey into the unknown, forever changed by the curse of the lost ship. The tale of the Voyager would live on, whispered through the cosmos, as a reminder to all who ventured too far into the depths of space. Some mysteries were never meant to be solved. Some truths were better left forgotten.